We should get a distillery going since we're here for good now. I could make my home brew. Nightingale's old kneecapper. Okay, hurry back.
Ah, well, we can do a little something about that distillery. Actually, I did some home distillery builds. I'll be showing you guys a lot of different options if you want to put one together yourself. This is a very, very, very small build because I'm working in limited space for this. I wanted to have the distillery on the table here. But there are options of things so you can like mix and match how you want. So I'll show you what I did. And these are not all the options, but these are the ones I, well, played around with. So for the, since I was working in limited space, I'm just working with essentially two different, I'll call objects for my home distillery. One, and I might not have the proper terms for this, so sorry, what I'll call the starter. It's like your still, your boiler, whatever it's called. And then I had that going into, I'm not really sure what the second object's called. I'll call it the keg, but I know that's not the proper term for it. But just so you guys know what I'm talking about, so I'll just call this still and keg. So you at least know what I'm talking about here. Where still's bigger than keg. And I researched online for home distillery options, and a good chunk of them had still, keg, with a pipe that shot up from the still and across and down to the keg. So I worked with that for the builds that I played around with on this one. Now there are, like, as you're seeing here, multiple different options. The one I haven't settled if this is the one I'm going to keep here yet, but at least it's the one I'm keeping here for the time being. So for my still, the one that's here right now, I'm using a Zerman container for the bulk of it. But for the still options I saw online, each of them had the top of it would be the still would be like thinner or even like tapered thinner, either to a point or just plain out smaller than the rest of the still container. So in order to simulate that with the Zerman container and stay with the same color scheme, I used the Zerman fuel container and just let's see if it'll let me move it. Tuck that in until only that blue part was sticking out. So that this fuel container is actually the same as this up here. And I'll go into why this is up here in a moment. Now, getting it so that there's like pipes going up to the side and down into your keg was a little bit tricky initially. Like my first thought was to use the Zerman globe lights or generator lights. Not globe lights, generator lights. Because they have, and I've used this for my shower build and I think a few other builds before. It's very, very nice pipe. But it's not very long, so if you want to make something kind of extended, you're either going to have to put multiple of these together and just hide the globe somehow, or you're going to have to use a different thing for your pipes. But anyway, one idea I initially played around with using these generator lights is to have one coming up from the keg. That's what this simulates, coming from the floor. And one coming to from the side from the still, even though I really want it to go upside and down. And then where these two join, you can hide the joining with very small objects. So like here, to fit the color scheme, I'm using the Zerman monitoring cube. So that's where they join right there. Not the cleanest looking join, but where the pipes join, you just kind of hide that right there. I ended up using this Zerman generator light for the one I kept on here. And yeah, I had to hide the globes. So we got one, there's a globe down here into the keg. Another one, this pipe right here. The globe is hidden within this pedestal prime, which you can get from Barrow. And because this pipe was not long enough, I had to use one more generator light. So that's this pipe right here. And the globe is hidden within this little chunk right here. So let me actually move these around so you guys can see it. There's one globe. There's another globe. And there's the third globe. So hiding the join So I didn't really hide the join where these two pipes meet up because they're roughly the same size, so I just kind of had them intersecting with each other. It's mostly there, it's close enough. And yeah, the join here, both the join and the globe here is being masked with the Duviri mugs. So I had the pipe going into the globe. These Duviri mugs are holding the globe. And just real quick on this build, then we'll get back to why these things are floating up here. What I used for my kegs, I kind of like the rounded corners, rounded edges on it, was two short artesian barrels. These are from the Duviri vendor. I flipped them upside down, put one on the other. I liked the kind of rounded keg-like appearance of it. But color scheme-wise, if I wanted a better match, I'd probably use another green Duviri pot or barrel or something like that in place of the Zerman one here. But again, just mix and match options. So these things floating up here, these were what I initially used to hide the globe that is seen here. My initial thought was something cylinder shape, kind of short, that wouldn't take up much room to hide this globe. However, both of these options were both kind of bulky. I didn't like how bulky they were. Like, this is the first one I went with, the Zerman fuel filter. Compared to the pipes, it was kind of bulky. It did the job, but I had to make it this big in order to hide the globe. So that was put to the side. Another one I tried out is the Auroron. I believe this was either from Grandmother or from Bird 3. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it is very definitely your gold style Orkin item. Unfortunately, I don't remember at the top of my head who it comes from. I'm guessing it was from Grandmother, but again, this one, it was better, not as bulky, but again, I had to make it large enough to hide the globe. It still made it kind of big, so I wasn't really a fan of that. So my next thought was, in order to make something smaller, instead of using one item, I'd use a two instead. So these Duviri mugs, I made them just large enough to hide the globe. If I made these any smaller, the globe's going to start to show on the sides. And I just put one on one half of the globe, one on the other half of the globe. So it is a much smaller profile than these two options. And it's hiding that globe I had right there. So this is a larger pipe join hiding type thing. So instead of having something small and tiny right here where I'm just hiding where two pipes intersect, I'm having to hide a globe where a pipe intersects with a globe, and it takes an awful lot to hide that globe. But yeah, that's what I went with because I had to use more than just two of these Zerman generator lights for the pipes. And another way I worked around not having to use like a fourth or even fifth generator light is instead of having one of these pop out of my still here, I used instead pedestal prime popping out instead. So it fits well with like the gold there. I also put on so you have like a sensor of sorts or a Zerman globe base kind of representing this like measuring pressure or whatever those things on a distill would measure. That kind of simulates that right there. But other options you can have also sticking out your still, and these are just a few I tried out. One possible one, Intrani wall sconce is a good, like it can be long and thin, that's what you're going to want here. Another one, not the greatest one, but you can work with it perhaps. Intrani Stratolizer, let me bump this out. This is upside down currently, but you'll probably recognize it more from this side. These you get from Bird 3. Not the greatest option, but something you can work with. Personally, I prefer the pedestal prime. I prefer the Intrani wall sconce. And the one I'm guessing most of you are probably going to go with is actually I did over here. And actually, let me move this to the side. We'll talk about that in a bit. Our good old Zerman tube lights. So these, you don't need them to be very big. It's just literally the pipe, and that's it. So pick one, just tuck it into your still, make the pipes go as long or short as you want. You don't have to worry about hiding globes or anything like that. What I used for the joins where I've had to like have 2 different pipes at different orientations. I have one of these, the Zerman stationary globe light. The other is the Zerman globe light. I wanted to see how both would look. Go for the Zerman globe light. The only difference between the two is the stationary light has a handle on it. But for joins, the Zerman globe light does a much better job of like hiding the join. So let me show you what it looks like here. So those are the 2 edges of our Zerman tube lights that are smaller, thinner than the rest of the tube. So you can hide that with Zerman globe light. It makes a very, very good join hider, and the color scheme. They're all Zerman stuff, so they're all on theme. Now, probably one of the, I imagine for anybody building a distillery, probably one of the most obvious 0 platinum pieces to make your kegs, stills, whatever, is going to be the long artesian barrel. So Deviri item, get from Acrithis. So I use that as an example of just like, hey, here's various pipes going out of them. If you want something more still-like, I did that over here. Again, we had the long artesian barrel. I also took a tall green artesian pot, also from the Acrithis, flipped it upside down. So we had that kind of like tapered to a thinner top right there. And I just tucked it until it was like kind of a good height. You did want it to be like larger than taller than our keg-like thing here. Now, if you want to go for full Zerman theme, another option you have for your keg is Zerman storage container, tall. This one, it's currently flipped upside down. It doesn't really matter what orientation you have it, but it's not like rounded like these are. It's more square-like, but it can work. If you want, you can have like this particular circle type thing represent like a pressure sensor of sorts right there. Like you could even take, if you wanted this Zerman globe base, put it, oops, let me get the camera right on top of there to represent that. But yeah, I flipped this upside down just because I wanted to see what it looked like upside down, but it doesn't really matter. Now, additional side stuff I wanted besides just like your whole distillery thing. Just a few potential like detail pieces you can throw in. I took the Zerman drink items, which is Deviri drink items. So you have Zerman thermos, Deviri thermos. Thank you. Deviri mug, Deviri flask. I believe I had these 2 at their smallest size, the mug and the thermos, and the flask is at its largest size. So just wanted stuff that represents drinking of something around the distillery. Threw in Zerman bottle, threw in some Zerman cups, tumbler cups. So just, I wanted various things that represent drinking of some liquid around that area. And probably not so much for Arthur, but probably more for Drifter. Threw in some chemist type items because I imagine she might see this more as like a chemical experiment type thing than just like, hey, let's make some beer or wine. So I threw those in there for their sake. And plus I had some of those around anyway. But yeah. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to cover real quick. Although this is not a 0 platinum item, and I had not seen this drop from Twitch before, I at least want to show it as an option if you're willing to spend a little bit of plat. This over here, alloy drum decoration from the market, 20 platinum, can make for a pretty good steel or keg for this build if you're willing to spend a little bit of plat on it. It has a very nice orientation size if you're going to go for that. But if you want your 0 platinum, these are the sort of options you have right here. So, yeah, that's actually everything we're going to cover. Like I said, really, really quick build. Next one, I have a build pending that... Oh, actually, wait, hold on. One other thing I wanted to cover. Why was this hidden in this right here? This Localized Air Purifier Decoration. One of my first thoughts in making a distillery without researching what they actually look like is I wanted to have some sort of piping or tubes or something that I can that come out of an object, and I could connect pipes from that. So we got kind of a pipe coming from here, going down, and my first thought was to take one of these beauties and just attach it to that. I won't move it around.
Any of y'all see the feeds light up? It's going down, kids.
And just like rotate this around and whatnot. So my first thought making the distillery was to work with something like that. I think what I have here actually worked out far better. But it's something you can play around with if you want. Oh, I have one more thing. Wrong way. If you decide to use these pipes, these airman tube lights, you might want to have one intersecting with another fully. If you like only want like this dark brown color to show, or only want this yellowish color to show, or at least to reduce how much of each shows. So here we got mostly the darker color. Here I'll have to rotate it better, but if you want more yellow, maybe it represents the color of whatever spirits you're distilling, or the darker color. Here I only have one pipe, but if you want a bit more of a consistent color, you can just intersect a couple of those. But yeah, but that's actually everything I wanted to cover. But yeah, next build I have, I don't have the timeline on it yet, but I'm currently researching pieces to put down. May or may not be using stuff from Techrot Encore Furniture. We'll see. If we ever get like a beer mug or stein or something like that, that is definitely going over here and probably replacing the Zariman cups, because that's more fitting for distilled spirits, I would think. These are more like weird-looking shot glasses, I suppose. But yeah, I do have one build that is 100% coming after Techrot Encore, because there is items that I need from Techrot Encore from that. Another one may or may not need items from Techrot Encore, but I'll at least get started. I'm actually putting it right over here where our little closed display is. But yeah, some other stuff will be coming probably before then. Some other guides of other sorts, particularly with the anniversary event coming up. I have one very, very particular one in mind. But yeah, that's everything I got. So thank you for watching, and have a good night, morning, afternoon, evening. Later.